Hey everybody, welcome to a special episode, I guess. Ben, what are we calling this?
I don't know. We're gonna go off script here and talk about reality TV instead of esports.
Right, and so in the past we've talked about reality television. We covered Canadian Big Brother, we talked about Celebrity Big Brother 1. We're not talking about Big Brother, surprisingly, this time. Instead, we're talking about one of our favorite shows. It is Survivor Season 40. That's the rumor, anyways. It's all winners. Nothing's confirmed, but I mean,
It's basically confirmed now.
it's basically confirmed. Exactly. So, what they're doing in this season is they're bringing back former winners to compete once again, including one winner who won two times. Everybody else just won once. I mean, you know that if you're watching this. Let's be honest.
Yep.
There's not some random person being like, Survivor all winners. This is a good video for me to click on, even though I know nothing about it.
I mean, you never know. There's some, we could get some people in, and for that, we'll break it down for you. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you want to just run through the cast once and then go back and talk about how we think each person will do, or do we want to take it a little bit slower and just go through how everyone will do, in our opinion?
we can just run. I mean, pretty quick to run through them all really quick, just to get them all on the table
All
because it kind
right.
of gives some context.
Okay, so I'll read them off. So, starting off, we have Amber Mariano, the winner of Survivor All Stars, Danni Boatwright, the winner of Guatemala, Denise Stapley, the winner of Survivor Philippines, Kim Spradlin, the winner of One World, Michele Fitzgerald, the winner of Koorong, Natalie Anderson, the winner of San Juan del Sur, Parvati Shallow, the winner of Survivor Micronesia, Sandra Diaz-Twine, the winner of Pearl Islands and Heroes vs. Villains, Sarah Lacina, the winner of Game Changers, Sophie Clark, the winner of South Pacific, Adam Klein, the winner of Millennials vs. Gen X, Ben Driebergen, the winner of Heroes vs. Healers vs. Hustlers, Ethan Zohn, the winner of Survivor Africa, Jeremy Collins, the winner of Survivor Cambodia, Nick Wilson, the winner of Survivor Davids vs. Goliath, Rob Mariano, the winner of Survivor Redemption Island, Tony Vlachos, the winner of Survivor Cagayan, Tyson Apostol, the winner of Blood vs. Water, Wendell Holland, the winner of Survivor Ghost Island, and rounding out the cast, Yul Kwon, the winner of Survivor Cook Islands.
Yeah,
Ben, what a cast! Holy
yeah,
shit.
yeah. I mean, usually when you look at all-star casts we've had in the past,
Mm-hmm.
you could usually point out maybe like at least 3 to 5 maybe duds in the
Right.
cast that kind of slide through because somebody drops out or because they need to
Mm-hmm.
just fill the cast in with certain archetypes.
Yep.
But here, I mean, like even the quote unquote duds, like you could talk about the winners that people not necessarily want to see. Like they still won the game. They're not going to
Right.
be
Yeah.
they're not going to be dud players. Like
I
you
know.
have to do something right to win Survivor.
Chris isn't here, so there's no way that I have a dud winner.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
too mean right off the bat. Had to
I mean, he's probably not watching.
oh, definitely not. He's wiping his tears away like Woody Harrelson in
Yeah,
that
with a
gift.
$1 million
Yeah,
check. Yeah.
exactly. He doesn't care what we say. But yeah, let's start off actually from the bottom this time. I want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about Yul Kwon. Huge get in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. He's probably one of the bigger gets of the season. I mean, Yule is an old school winner. He has been kind of in and out of the Survivor community ever since he won Cook Islands, which is like, 12 years ago at this point,
Right.
which is insane.
Yeah.
And he's heavily involved in politics. He worked for the Obama administration.
Mhm.
He's, a very high profile, and he has a very good career going for him. So he doesn't really need Survivor. So like the fact that they were able to get him to come on this season is huge.
Yeah, I mean, he won what feels like a lifetime ago. With like very different game, but he's also like notable for being the first winner, right? First one with the hidden immunity idol.
Yep.
He was certainly the mastermind of his alliance. He has an amazing story from that season where his tribe was down to 4 people and ended up becoming the final four. And like you said, he had kind of moved on in his life, his career, doing some pretty amazing things. So him coming back is just It's awesome. I'm probably going to say that a lot. I'm going to say that a lot about people like, oh, it's so awesome they're back. But it really is. It really is awesome that they got them back.
Yeah, and especially these early season players, because if you look at the cast, I think there are 4 winners since Heroes vs. Villains who are not on this cast, and those were
Right.
Fabio, Cochran, Mike, and Chris Underwood. And I guess it's the season 39 winner, I guess, as well. So that's 5.
Yeah.
So there's the cast is incredibly skewed towards more recent winners. So there are a very small handful of these early winners that we've seen, and Yul is like one of these like kind of hidden gold winners or players that have kind of been talked about as like, oh, Yul should come back. Yul should come back forever, basically, since he won.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, they should get Yul back as soon as they can. And they finally got it.
Unbelievable. So here's a guy who I knew we would see again. I thought he played a very good game in Ghost Island. Wendell Holland.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is he's the first returnee from Ghost Island. I think there's a lot of players from these newer seasons. They're the first returnee for their season coming through. Wendell played a phenomenal game. Him and Dominic basically ran that season from start to finish as a duo. I think that something that, if we want to talk about as well, the chances of these players to win. I think that Wendell actually has a pretty decent chance to win.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because I think that a lot of people don't really see him as the alpha of the Wendell and Dominic duo.
Right.
And people kind of saw Dominic as more of the more dominant personality in that twosome. And I think a lot of his strategy kind of went unseen in a lot of ways. But he's obviously a very strong player. But I think that he could easily slide under the radar, and he's very dangerous if he goes far.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. I think people might see Dominic as the more alpha of that alliance. I like Wendell a lot. I think he can do a lot of damage, and I'm excited to see him back. I know this list skews a lot of new school people, which isn't great, but he is one of the people who I am happy to see back. And then kind of the next on our list is like half new school, half old school in a way. Tyson Apostol, the winner of Survivor 27, but he originally was on 18. So Tyson is my favorite Survivor player of all time. I never thought he would ever win a season of Survivor. He shocked me, even though I got talked out of picking him as a winner back when we were doing the previously on network that season. He's just a fun guy to have on the show, and I'm really excited to see him get the fourth chance?
Fourth chance.
I mean,
I guess he only needed 3 chances, but he's now one of the very few 4-timers. I think that list is less than 10 players long, so it's very small and prestigious list of players that have played at least 4 times. I think that one thing to think about, or at least that I've been thinking about since the cast started to get leaked and then was like fully officially leaked, I guess, is one of the players that I keep forgetting is on this season is Tyson. And he shouldn't be a forgettable player because like his personality is huge. He's like an enormous he played an incredibly dominant game in Blood versus Water.
Right.
He infiltrated an alliance a pre-game alliance that he wasn't a part of, and he just took control of the game, ousted Aris and Tina, and just rode it to the end. He's in with Redemption Island as well. So I think that the fact that I keep forgetting he's on the season can only mean that he's in a good spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, in terms of threat, I don't think he is someone they're looking at as a person who's like, oh, I need to get rid of Tyson right away.
Yeah.
And certainly, there's plenty of, big threats out there as well in terms of physicality and strategic. So, yeah, he could be in it for the long haul. We'll see.
And then also something to point out was Tyson. He is the first of the group of 4 villains that we're going to be talking about here Of the 10-person villains tribe from Survivor Heroes versus Villains, 4 of the 10 of them are on this season.
Yeah.
That's a huge bond. All of them, well, 3 out of the 4 of them were in a strong alliance, and all of them at least have a rapport with each other. So
yeah,
that is not something to look at lightly.
Yeah, Coach, hear that? He could have been the 5th. Could have been, but we actually have the winner from that season on it. Sorry, Coach. Sucks to suck. So let's talk about one of those people who are going to be a huge threat. He certainly was the biggest threat on his last season out of the gate. I would say Sandra probably usurped him both literally and figuratively in that season. Tony Vlachos. I love that Tony's back. I didn't know if he would come back after his showing in Game Changers. But Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Tony's another person who there were a number of players in this cast who said, "Oh, I'll never do Survivor again. I'm done with it." There's a couple people we'll talk about later who said they were done with the show,
right?
Who are mysteriously somehow on this cast now. And Tony is one of those people. He at least said he wanted to take a step back from Survivor. And I mean, at the point of filming now, this is 3 years after Game Changers. So
that's insane. Oh my god,
which is
getting old.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is very insane. It's 2 years after it aired, but 3 years after it filmed. So, I mean, obviously 3 years was enough for Tony. Like you said, I think he is probably a top 3 presence and threat on the season. At least top 5, if not top 3. I think that even with his very abysmal showing in Game Changers, where he was eliminated in the first episode, second, but in the first episode,
right,
and did not look good at all.
It was almost the worst case scenario.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe it was a long con, Brian. Maybe he was like, I'm going to come back a 3rd time, and this is just a way for me to, maybe he was like, I'm not winning this season either way. There's so many duds in this season that there's no way that they let me get far. Right. So I'm gonna go out in a blaze of glory right at the start, so that everyone's like, oh, Tony, it was a fluke in guy, and he's not gonna win again.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I think it's foolish to doubt Tony's abilities because while he is kind of a wild card, he's also a very skilled strategist.
Yeah, and would you say it's unfair to say that his win is the single most entertaining win in the history of Survivor in terms of just his craziness? The shit this guy did that should not have worked and did work. It was unreal. That season's amazing, and a large part of it is because Tony is a psycho who plays Survivor like no one else can or should, quite frankly.
But I mean, we also did talk about Yul with his God Idol, and then Tony on Kagayan did also have a God Idol. And 2 out of the 3 times that idol with those rules have been used in Survivor, that person ended up winning the game. So I know a lot of people pointed to that as far as knocking down Yul's win. I know people have pointed to that as knocking down Tony's win because he was able to play so balls to the wall. Because if something had gone wrong, he
That's
had the
fair.
safety net.
That's super fair. Yeah, no, you're right.
So,
I mean, but
we'll see.
In fairness, neither of them had to use it.
Yeah, well, that's that. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So, neither of them had the votes and would have gotten voted out anyways. So another huge threat coming in this season. I mean, he's probably for more casual people who are not super aware, not recording a speculative podcast months before the show airs. Boston Rob Mariano, he's back for trip number. It's his 5th time playing. We'll put it that way.
Yes.
And
he will become the only 5-time player after this.
And he'll also be a coach, mentor, giant statue on Survivor 39. So I don't really know how we count that. Obviously, he had one of the most dominant wins of all time in Redemption Island. He is one of the better games in Survivor All-Stars, kind of really where Rob Cesternino, Johnny Fairplay introduced the cutthroat version of Survivor. He took it to another level in All-Stars and kind of set the stage for how things would go moving forward.
Yeah.
What do you think his chances realistically are on this season?
I mean, before the changes that were seen to the cast when when Redmond's list dropped, I would have been much higher on his chances of being able to slip under the radar. But as I believe, if we're going backwards, the last person we're going to be talking about on this cast list is his wife of like 15 years, who they have 4 daughters.
Right, the winner of Survivor All-Stars.
Yeah, Amber Mariano.
She's out here.
Yeah, so I don't know why the hell both of them are playing. Like, I can see from like a producer's perspective why it would be entertaining to have both of them on the same season together after all this time, and especially like this kind of a season. But from their perspective, they have to realize they have to at least be self-aware enough to know that each of their chances is like significantly lowered with both of them on the season, right?
Hey man, I mean, there's a reason Jenny and I, when we played Survivor New York, didn't tell anyone we were dating. That was a death sentence. And for one of them, I think it will be, and I think more likely than not, it will be for Rob than Amber.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I love Boston Rob, obviously, like being from Boston.
Yeah.
But I don't see how he can pull this off.
Yeah, I would say he is probably the closest thing to like a face of the franchise that a player has ever like become, like consistently throughout the entire run of the show. Like there have been times where like Rupert was the face of the franchise, or like Stephanie LaGrossa, and then like some of the newer school players, like Malcolm for like a small amount of time.
Yeah.
But like Boston Rob has been, from basically the second he's been on the show, has been one of the like major faces of the franchise, even to this day, 20 years later. So
yeah, pretty good for a pre-jury boot.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. We talk about the 2 seasons.
That was a New England Patriot version, Boston Rob, not Boston Red Sox, Boston Rob. All right, so from maybe one of the most threatening guys to, I think, one of the guys who could potentially slip under the radar, let's talk a little bit about Nick Wilson, winner of David versus Goliath.
Yeah, and the most recent winner on the cast.
Yeah, really quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Well, he was crowned, 7 months ago now? Not even, like 5, 6?
It was 5 months ago, yeah.
Oh, my God. And now he's back out there on the island. That's insane.
Yep. So, I mean, he's had about 5 or 6 months, or I guess probably closer to a year. He's probably knew that he was the winner, I assume. But he's had less than a year to process the fact that he's a Survivor winner, and he's going to be out there on an island with all of these like total legends, and he's like a huge fan. He's a RHAP patron.
Right.
He's like a big internet fan. So like
he's one of us.
Yeah, he knows who all these people are. He's watched all the seasons. So like this is going to be like a huge culture shock for him, I think.
I think it's going to be a little bit like JT on Heroes versus Villains.
Potentially, yeah, where he has this kind of like heroic first season where he's like looked at as this like underdog, good old country boy, and he comes back and he plays like a much more openly villainous game.
Hopefully it doesn't go quite as badly as it went for JT.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for him,
not on this cast, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, I think he didn't he get married recently? No, he's been married for a while. I don't know. He probably figured that it can only. Each of his Survivor seasons has just gotten significantly worse, like an enormous step down each time. So, like, he probably figured if he came back, he would be like...
He'd, like, die.
I mean, I was going to say get, like, embarrassingly voted out first, but, die also a possibility.
Well, it's just orders of magnitude. From the perfect game to looking like an idiot to looking like a pre-merge idiot to dead. That's just how it goes,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Nick Wilson. He's on the cast. And probably going to go pretty far.
Yeah, and the winner of the last good season of Survivor up to this point. I know it's only been one, but 39 looks weird.
Yeah, I mean, this one at least looks,
awesome.
Like it could be fun, yeah?
Yeah, if they just let them play Survivor this season, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, if there's any season that they feel confident enough to do kind of a back to basics format, it should be this one, because like the whole idea of like all these like stupid twists they introduce is like we need to like theme the season, or we need to make sure that in case our casting failed that there's some kind of intrigue when these players aren't playing hard.
Right.
But like all of these players are going to play hard. All of them are huge names. They're all huge personalities for the most part. Like they're going to make an entertaining season, even if it's basic rules.
Right.
And like the theme is there. Like it's all winners. You don't need like some stupid, island theme. Like,
Yeah, I think they could like literally do what they did with Heroes vs. Villains. It wasn't even a swap.
Yeah.
It's like one idol at each camp, one at the merge. Yeah. Let the characters make the season awesome.
Yeah. These players, like, they're going to play crazy 100%. Like there's not going to be any like easy votes. There's not going to be any like people rolling over and dying. There's not going to be any like laurels going to the end with two huge threats, thinking that she's somehow going to get them to split the votes and like give her a win by some random, branch of mathematics that I don't know about.
Yeah, pretty much an act of God.
Yeah.
At that point.
Like, so I mean, if they're going to take a chance, which it's strange for me to say take a chance by not putting some like stupid crazy twist on the season, but like
that's where we're at right now, Ben.
Yeah, then this is the season to do it. Just let them play Survivor.
Yeah, and so speaking of someone who played very hard, I feel like both times, honestly, he gave up a reward in the first season. He was looking like he was in a good spot, got blindsided, set up a win for one of the other members of this cast, and then came back and actually proved why we all thought he could potentially win his first season. Jeremy Collins from Foxborough, Massachusetts, winner of Survivor Cambodia.
Yeah, I mean, he was my winner pick in San Juan del Sur, and then I foolishly didn't make him my winner pick in Cambodia, because I was like, men don't win All-Star seasons.
Yeah, well, what did we know?
This man did. He's the only man to win an All-Star season, the full All-Star season.
And he played a great game, ballsy, saved his ally with an idol.
Saved himself with an idol.
Yeah, that was an insane tribal council. And yeah, I mean, obviously being from Massachusetts, we are predisposed to root for him. That's just how it goes. Root for our own.
I'm pretty sure he works less than a mile from where I currently am.
Yeah, so I hope Jeremy does well. I think he could do well, but he did play an extremely like solid game. So that, I don't know, Ben. Where do you think he ranks in terms of threats on this season?
I think he's a larger threat, but not like large enough where he's going to be an immediate target. And then on top of that, he has experience playing in a full All-Star cast and winning a full All-Star cast with a bunch of threats. I think Cambodia is like one of those seasons where there were a lot of huge personalities and huge players. And on top of that, like you alluded to, he does have a very close relationship with one of the other members of the cast from his original season.
Yeah, and it shouldn't have surprised me because this isn't a regular All-Star season, but I guess, being kind of dumb. When I saw, like, someone did, like, the connections charts, and most of the players didn't have connections because, obviously they won one season. Like, maybe they didn't come back. There hasn't been a ton of winners to come back. But, so Jeremy is one of the few who actually does have a direct connection to someone else on the cast. Yeah. Which is super interesting.
Yeah, it's basically them. It's the villains
and the All-Stars.
The All-Stars, and then also something that hasn't been brought up, even though we talked about Yul, is that Yul and Parvati to play in their
together. Yeah, that's super interesting too.
Yeah.
So Jeremy and Natalie and Yul and Parvati, are they the only ones who original seasons?
And Sarah and Tony.
And Sarah, of course, yeah. They've played with each other every time. That's really weird.
3 for 3, yeah.
Yeah, that's so weird. I mean, that's James and Amanda. Like.
Yep, but actually
good.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. They were fine.
Yeah, James and Amanda are both above average players.
Yeah. And no, so, at the end of the day, like you said, he's the only man to win an All-Star season. It wouldn't shock me if Jeremy won this season. Can hope.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Here's another player who I never in a million years would have thought would be on Survivor again, Ben. Ethan Zohn from Survivor Africa, the third season.
Yep, probably the biggest shock. I mean, actually, I think Amber was the biggest shock just because we knew that Rob was already in the season. But
Right,
Ethan
right.
was definitely like a super close second, like crazy out of left field shock. He's had health issues recently. He went through like a really awful cancer diagnosis and fought with that for many years. You also met Ethan, right?
Yeah, Survivor Durham, or
Yep.
Durham Warriors Survival Challenge is actually
Yes.
what it was called. But yeah, he came and did like a meet and greet with fans. He seemed like a really nice dude.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're both super excited to see him back out here.
For sure, yeah.
Like I think like once a day since I've seen him, I'm just like, whoa, Ethan's gonna be on Survivor again. That's insane. Last time he played was All Stars, which aired in 2004. That's a long layoff.
Yeah. I mean, something to point out about his performance on All Stars. I know it was a long time ago. The show has, changed a lot since then. There's a lot of new twists and rules and craziness. But there was this weird anti-winner sentiment coming into All Stars.
Oh, yeah.
And Ethan was able to survive votes that he had no business surviving as a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he survived a vote over Colby, even though he was a winner and Colby wasn't, and Colby had connections on that original tribe.
And over Rudy.
Yep. So, Ethan is not somebody to write off.
Mm-hmm.
He played a phenomenal game in Africa, really solid. He's an incredibly charismatic and likable guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he's one of these people who could potentially pick up this like new Survivor really quick,
right,
and be able to float under the radar until he gets to that point.
Because he finished in 11th out of 18th.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was he was like 2 votes away from the merge.
Yep.
And if Ethan made the merge, who knows what would have happened at that point.
Yep.
So yeah, he's dangerous, man. He could definitely win. Obviously, we don't. He was jacked and ripped during All Stars. Don't know what he's gonna be like this way. I'm sure he's still in good shape, but yeah, man, Ethan's gonna be on Survivor again.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, just for this, just for like Yul and Ethan, like all these like old school winners that I never thought I would ever see on the show again.
Mm-hmm.
Like this season is worth it.
Yeah. So the exact opposite. Not to disrespect Ben Driebergen.
I think it's Driebergen.
Driebergen. Yeah. Ben Driebergen, the winner of Heroes, Healers versus Hustlers. A lot of controversy surrounding his win.
Yep.
Probably the most controversial winner until last season.
Yep.
Where we saw someone who only played 15 days of Survivor win.
12 days.
12. Oh my God.
Yeah. Actually, it might have been 11. It might have been 11, actually. It was either 11 or 12.
So bad. Ben at least never got voted out.
Yeah.
In the season he was in. He found a lot of hidden immunity idols. He had a twist that is now kind of a mainstay in Survivor, but at the time, no one knew was coming. Mm-hmm. And he is the Final Four fire-making twist. He definitely got saved by that, and he definitely won the season in large part because of it, which I think that more than the idols, more than anything, really dampened people's reaction to him. Would you say that's fair?
No, yeah, I think that the fire-making twist is the big asterisk more so than the idols. I know a lot of people, point to there being too many idols and them re-hiding these idols too much, especially now because of the fire-making twist. There is no buffer vote between when idols end and when the voting actually ends. Mm-hmm. So it is unfortunate because Ben does seem like a really awesome guy. He's obviously
Marine.
A Marine. He seems really chill and nice and kind-hearted. So I feel bad that he is like the butt of a lot of this hate that kind of gets thrown at him because of the way that the show has evolved a little bit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that most people would agree that out of this cast, he is the weakest winner because he's the most clear person who was saved by things outside of his control. And you could say that the idols were in his control, And we've kind of seen, especially with this past season, that maybe searching for idols nonstop rather than forming social bonds with people it might be the new meta of Survivor.
Right, yeah.
Really awful because that's such boring television.
We went to like big moves Survivor to just like big like social moves.
Yeah.
Just big idol plays, which is bad.
Yeah, like I mean, big moves, like whether they're good or not, like they're entertaining TV when it's somebody like flipping for no reason or like voting out somebody in their alliance for no reason.
Right.
Like whether that's good or bad gameplay is irrelevant because that's entertaining TV. People finding and playing idols every single vote over and over again, with no repercussions is just like super boring and stifling in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So we'll see. I don't think Ben can win.
I think the biggest issue for him will be gaining a jury's respect.
Yes.
Because coming in, I think most of these winners probably see him as kind of a less serious player. But if he plays a really strong game this time, he might be able to gain their respect. I actually think Ben is a serious dark horse. That kind of scares me. As somebody who doesn't necessarily want to see him win.
But hey, I think if he wins this time, it's going to be a lot better and a lot more well-rounded game. So if he does win that way, I don't think we'll be upset.
No, for sure, yeah.
Just because
if he plays an impressive game this time and wins, that's fine. But I think he comes in with a huge advantage because people are going to massively underestimate his abilities because he has this like asterisk on his win. But he did make it to the final 7 on his own merit without idols or anything.
Right.
And he was in a dominant alliance. He was in a good position in the game. He did screw it up, obviously, and put himself into a position where he had to idle himself out. But he is, in my opinion, an above-average Survivor player. And if these people are going to come in and see him as a total loser who has no opportunity to win, I think that's an enormous mistake for them to underestimate him.
Yeah, speaking of someone I think is going to be underestimated and really should not be.
Oh, yeah.
Adam Klein. Adam Klein is a really fucking good player of Survivor.
Yeah. I think Adam Klein might be the most underrated Survivor winner, honestly.
I agree.
I think that's there are a lot of people who might kind of balk at that or whatever.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on Twitter. All right.
Yeah. But
settle it on the Twitter streets.
Obviously, we had the experience of watching him play during Warriors Survival Challenge, where he basically just like engineered that game from start to finish and didn't win because he didn't want to win.
He bowed out essentially.
Yeah. He like just basically handpicked a winner at the start of the game and was like, I'm just gonna make this person win. Played the game for them and just won, like vicariously through them. And
I hope that person does not listen to this show.
No, I love Bethany's awesome, but like and she did play and did do things on her own, but like you can't knock Adam's like enormous involvement in that.
That kind of became the meta of the Durham.
It's a bit close to the good player who's a returning player, but we're not talking about Durham. We're talking about real Survivor, and even in Millennials versus Gen X, I think a lot of people massively underrate Adam. They say he only won because he had this like sob story with his mom.
No, I don't think
absolutely not true at all.
I think he's probably winning that season without that story, with the same
100%.
Three, so.
I think he still wins that final 3 without that story, probably still unanimously. I think that a lot of people, because the show in Millennials vs. Gen X did something that it usually doesn't do, which is point out major flaws in their winner's game. Usually when winners make mistakes, they're hidden or they're downplayed or they're kind of pushed to the side so as to not make the winner seem flawed or to make the winner seem like they're undeserving. I think something that the producers decided to do or the editors decided to do in Millennials vs. Gen X is they really showed some of the cracks that Adam has. And I think that's going to be extremely helpful for him coming into this season. And on top of that, he's extremely charismatic and he's very well connected. He goes to basically every reality event that is put on. Like he's constantly hanging with like these reality TV alums. I assume that anybody on this cast who has met somebody else on this cast outside of Survivor, they've met Adam.
Right. That makes sense. And you know how these things work, you know. Maybe it's not a direct pregame alliance, but it's at least like, hey, you know, we ever play Survivor together. I got you. And if he's going to be the person doing that the most, then he should be in a fairly decent spot.
Yeah. I think that he's probably almost a lock to make the merge, and if he makes the merge, he's an incredibly dangerous player.
Yeah, and so moving on from Adam to one of my all-time favorite Survivor players. I know you like her a lot, too.
Oh, yeah.
Sophie Clark, the winner of South Pacific. I thought she was overshadowed unfairly by the returning players and Cochran, honestly, in South Pacific, considering where Cochran finished in that season. I didn't think Sophie got a fair shake in that season, but might actually kind of work to her advantage in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Sophie is somebody who has been kind of in the like ether as a potential returnee. I know a lot of people figure that her archetype was kind of consumed by Aubrey after she was on the show. And they're kind of like this, like,
but they couldn't get Aubrey to win, so
yeah, this young nerdy looking girl, and yeah, so Aubrey obviously finished very poorly in her last season. And yeah, we've talked way too much about it. Way too much.
Like, we should never have mentioned this. Well, it's also the most recent season. It ended like.
We're talking about Sophie goddamn Clark.
Yeah.
Right. The greatest thing to happen to Modern Survivor. And Modern Survivor being something that happened, 8 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Sophie is fantastic. Like you said, she is one of my favorite players ever. I'm super excited to see her come back. I think she's extremely underrated as a player, which is something that I feel like we've said a lot about many of these winners, that they're being underrated, which
is good because it's going to be a crazy season.
Yeah, which makes the small handful of people who aren't underrated
they're in trouble.
Even more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Sophie is a phenomenal Survivor player. She's very good at alliance management. She's like very sociable despite her like kind of brash personality in a lot of ways, but she's very forward. She's like an alpha female who doesn't get the credit for being an alpha female because, as you said, she kind of got overshadowed by Coach and Ozzy, and to a lesser extent Cochran as well.
Yeah, and you guys got to look at it this way. We watched Coach play Survivor 2 times. Do you think Coach is running that Upolu Alliance the way that it was portrayed by himself?
Yeah.
Probably not. Sophie, more likely than not, had a really big hand in that, and that's why she won.
Yeah. I mean, if Probst had let her, she would have basically bullied Albert into helping her win the immunity challenge at the end.
Oh, so good. And then she beats Ozzy to knock Ozzy out of the game. That's bad.
Possibly the greatest challenge competitor in the history of the show.
Certainly at that time, too. Oh, God.
That was he was, really... This wasn't Game Changer Ozzy. Right? This was Ozzy.
Peak power Ozzy.
Yeah. This was BDE Ozzy.
Oh, man. So, yeah, we're really excited to see Sophie. Sarah Lacina is up next, winner of Game Changers. A player, I think, who has a little bit of similarities to Jeremy, where a lot of people thought she was going to win Cagayan. But she didn't. She was the merge boot. But then she came back and played incredibly hard, kind of using her reputation as a honest person to be incredibly dishonest and play the best game possible. And she won that in, I think, impressive fashion. Ben, what are your thoughts?
No, yeah, I think that a lot of people, because they don't like Game Changers this season, and, Sarah is kind of an iffy personality as far as, like, screen presence goes.
Right.
They really discount her as a player, and because, she did really drive home this, like, criminal and cop metaphor throughout the entirety of the season, which did old, and it got old by like episode 5, and certainly by episode 13 or whatever, it was extremely old. But it was a good metaphor for her 2-season arc, where as you said in Cagayan, she was extremely trustworthy to a fault. She was trustworthy to her alliance that she was like tacitly threatening to flip on, and she was trustworthy to
that was a bad look, admittedly.
to Tony because Tony was a cop, even though Tony was like is possibly one of the most deceitful players in the history of the show.
Yeah. Yes.
And so she came back. She noticed her mistakes, and she was able to fix them and execute really effectively. She burned a number of jurors, and lost some jury votes there. Looking at Sierra Dawn Thomas Anglem, and
Yeah, the law firm herself.
yeah. But she played hard enough to get the respect of the rest of them, and this is another player who we have actually all four previous full All-Star season winners.
Oh wow! Yeah,
on this cast.
That's insane.
So this is another player who has experience winning a full All-Star cast, and I think that's an enormous advantage coming in with all these big egos. Even if Game Changers had some less. I don't know what to say. It wouldn't be super insulting.
Listen, it had some really good players and some less good players.
It also had Caleb Reynolds.
He was there because he almost died.
Yeah, that was like a favor. Yeah.
They owed him a second chance, and he did about as well as you could expect him to do.
Yep. Without Derek dragging him to the end as a goat.
Hey, you know what? We'll see him probably in Big Brother All-Stars too, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So it's like, please don't ever say that again.
Yeah. So anyway, Sarah Lacina, I think she does come in similar to a lot of other players we talked about, with more survivor skills than people are giving her credit for. The one thing is that she did kind of burn out this honest, facade or whatever.
Yes.
On this second season, so she can't really play that up this season as well. She's gonna have to change her game up a little bit in order to gain trust and actually form real alliances.
Yeah, no, I think I was talking to somebody afterwards. I think David from Survivor Talk with D&D after that season, and I was like, Sarah probably can never play again. This is the perfect game, and it all fell together perfectly for her. And once you play a game like that, it's just over. No one's ever gonna let you do that again.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do that without an enormous amount of luck or an enormous amount of other people who have the exact same potential negative attribute coming in. Which maybe this season has enough of those players, but we'll see.
There are at least 3 women on this season that I can think of, and are they all in a row on this list?
No.
But there's certainly 3 incredibly dominant female players on here that could overshadow and probably will overshadow Sarah at the beginning, anyways.
Especially the next 2.
Yeah. So let's jump into it. The biggest target on the season. There's nothing you can say about Sandra. She's the queen. She's amazing. She's hilarious. She's an incredible Survivor player. She didn't even make the merge last time, and she still played so well that it increased her reputation as a great Survivor player. She won Pearl Islands and Heroes vs. Villains. She won an old school season and a new school season. She's insane. And we're going to get her for 2 seasons in a row, Ben.
Yeah, and in one of them she can't even get voted out on, so we get her the entire time.
Oh my God. What a dream.
I mean, obviously, the biggest thing to talk about here is probably her Game Changers game, because that's probably the most similar comparison point to her coming into this. A lot of people wrote her off immediately coming into that season as there's no way that these people are going to let Sandra win.
Right.
It would be asinine for them to let her get anywhere close to the end. But if not for her tribe sucking in immunity challenges and then her getting swap screwed on a second swap, she would have been in the merge. She would have made the merge.
Mm-hmm. And her closest ally going home in a twist that was bullshit.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, yeah, she pretty much had everything go wrong, and she still played awesome.
Yeah. She, literally every possible thing that could ever have gone wrong in that season. And she had obviously the biggest target coming in as, arguably the best Survivor player ever coming in with a season where like a third of the cast are just nobodies. Yeah. I'm not going to say which third, you can figure it out yourself. But she came in and like she should have had no shot. Right. And she basically stole a dominant position out of nowhere. And like, you can't, like, everyone's saying, oh, Sandra can't win. She's the biggest target in the season. I don't actually think she's the biggest target in the season.
I don't either.
Yeah, I think she can definitely win.
Right.
I think the fact that people are coming in with it in their head, they're like, oh, Sandra can't win. That's exactly how Sandra wins. So yeah.
I think it is so funny because a lot of like this stuff around Sandra, with her first 2 wins, is like, oh, she can only win if her tribe wins the challenges at the beginning, and then she comes out and completely dispels that notion.
Yep.
Like right away in Game Changers, she's scary how good she is at this game.
Yeah, she's like insanely versatile. Everyone came into Game Changers thinking that she couldn't play from a losing tribe. She couldn't play with a swap, and she couldn't play a dominant mastermind game because she only does under the radar style. She dispelled all 3 of those notions just like in like 3 episodes of Game Changers.
Yeah,
like actually ridiculous.
Yeah, the only like big worry I have is that her and Tony had a huge blowout.
Yeah.
In Tony's boot episode. That's not great.
I mean, listen. Imagine this, Brian. Sarah, Tony, and Sandra all in one tribe. Sarah gets voted out first. Tony gets voted out second again. And Sandra says, bye, Tony. Say hi to Sarah for me.
The internet would lose its mind.
Yeah.
Oh man, she's great.
I think they're okay. I think they're fine. I think that Tony has way more to worry about than his relationship with Sandra.
That's fair. So let's move on to Parvati Shallow, another player who can rival Sandra in terms of like she won, and then she also made it to the end the next game she played, which she really shouldn't have because that season was just her like Matrix style dodging people trying to take her out left and right.
Yeah, I mean, so was Micronesia to an extent as well.
Right, yeah. It's so funny because she's like one of these people before Heroes vs. Villains that people were probably like down on, I would say, in terms of her winning. Like, she played an amazing game. And then she came out in Heroes vs. Villains just like Sandra did in Game Changers and just erased all notion of like, lesser than. She's an incredible player and she shouldn't be underestimated. And she won't. She'll probably still have her back up against the wall again, but that seems to be where she excels.
Yeah, no, she's come into both of her previous returning seasons with her back up against the wall, and she made the finals in both of those seasons. So, like, yes, she's coming in to this with possibly one of the biggest targets, probably I'd say the second biggest target of anybody on this season. And, it works for her. I don't know how it works. Maybe it's luck. Maybe it's just like circumstance. Maybe she's just that good.
I mean, but yeah. She has that great confessional Here's There's Villains where she's just like on the beach and she's like, why do people always just want to vote me off?
Yeah.
It's so great. And I'm a little surprised that she did come back. She was one of those people who, like you said previously she was done with Survivor, but we get to have Parvati back another season. I cannot be more excited.
And on top of that, she just had a baby.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, 6 months ago. So
she's insane.
She's a mad woman. But, I mean, she can't pass this up. Come on.
No, I mean, it would be worse if we didn't have her for this season. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, she's so important to the history of Survivor and the history of like dominant female players that like her not being on the season would just feel a little empty,
Yeah, I mean there are already way fewer female winners to choose from. I think there are like 4 or 5 who aren't on the season, and like there are a number of those who probably were never even going to be considered in a contention. So like, yeah, Parvati had to be on the season. Like They were never. They would give Parvati $1 million to like show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I almost would say like maybe it was a prerequisite to this like season happening. Like, you need Sandra, you need Boston Rob, you need Parvati.
Yeah.
Like, these are the people that absolutely 100% need to be on the season, or CBS is not greenlighting it.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited. Natalie Anderson. I love Natalie Anderson.
Finally.
I know you love
Finally.
Natalie Anderson.
Oh, I love Natalie Anderson. I loved her on Amazing Race. I was one of like their few fans from the very beginning.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm so excited. And I know a lot of people. Like I don't know if there are any people. Are there people who are not Natalie Anderson fans? I feel like she's like one of the most universally beloved winners that the show has had.
She's just so badass.
Yeah.
In that season, she makes that season at the end. She just. Like, after Jeremy gets voted out, she just, like, grabs it by the neck, brings it home. And it's because of her. I love that season. One of my favorites. Natalie Anderson, dude, she's back. Finally.
Yeah.
Like you said, she almost came back recently, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I think it's for the better, honestly. I think that getting that concussion before a game changer is probably the best thing that happened to her. Because I think that she has a serious shot of winning the season. I think that she's an enormous contender. A lot of people, like, the second she won, like, there were like maybe 4 or 5 players that the second they won, people were like, oh, they're just gonna win all winners. And Natalie Anderson was one of those players.
Man, this is so exciting. I'm so excited to have her back.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to just like sit here and gush about how much I love Natalie Anderson, but I think she's an awesome player. I think she's one of my favorite moves was when she voted opposite of how her alliance wanted her to, and she just like, I got confused.
It's like the fact that had never really been done before to that extent, like, it's just so crazy that she's just like creating, like, there were so many times during that season where she was just like inventing these like off the wall like new strategic maneuvers where, you know, she kind of that's the tone of that season for like giving away rewards to people as like a social maneuver, like sending herself to Exile Island as a social maneuver. That move where she obviously, what you just described, where she pretended like she was confused about the vote in order to vote out the person she wanted to get voted out.
Oh, and you want to talk about BDE, that idle play at 5.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
To burn her final 3 alliance, because she was afraid that if Keith won, that, you know, they would all vote her out at 4. Just like really brilliant move. You know, telling John to play his idol only to like bring him on a spaghetti reward. You know, talk to him about how much he loves wine and all of this like pretentious bullshit, and then just like fucking blindside him the next opportunity she gets. Oh my God.
Yeah, Natalie Anderson, certified badass Survivor player. Oh, man, I'm so happy she's back. All right, Ben, I'm going to let you take the lead on the next one. Michele Fitzgerald, one of your all-time favorite winners. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that, you know, a lot of people have mixed feelings on Michele. Obviously, she has a lot of fans, but she has a lot of detractors as well, because the ending of Kograwing was a little bit controversial because people love Aubrey. But,
completely
you know,
unfair for her, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure, yeah, obviously. I mean, you said I'm a huge Michele fan, so like, I mean, yeah, I've met Michele at like a viewing event. She's like super charismatic. Like it's immediately apparent why she won. And I know that you said that after this past season that you're on the Michele train now.
Well, after Aubrey voted for Chris, I cannot stand anymore.
Yeah.
No, I've never disliked Michele.
Yeah.
I feel like you said, it's like you're either Team Aubrey or Team Michele. I never felt that. I was like, Michele played a great game. She had that really cool moment when she kicked her puzzle down after she won. Was that Final Immunity Challenge?
That was the Final 5, I think.
Final 5 challenge.
Maybe the Final 4 one was the balance one, right? That was the jury power she got.
Right, because
yeah,
like Joe died.
Might have been,
No, Joe had some bad meat, and so I don't know. I think she's great. I think she'll probably win this season.
Yeah,
Quite
no, I
frankly.
think so. There's like the first meta of this season, and then there's like the second level meta. It's kind of like, you know, also like poker methodology where you
Right,
like
right.
learn about like first level thinking, second level thinking. So the first level thinking would definitely put her as an enormous front runner to win this season.
Right.
She's extremely sociable, well connected, charismatic, and she's extremely underrated as a player because of the perspective that people have around co-wrongs this season and around Aubrey and that whole thing. However, like I mentioned with Natalie Anderson, there are like 4 or 5 players who, as soon as they won, people were like, this person is winning all winners.
Right.
And Michele Fitzgerald is one of those players where the second she won, people were like, oh, okay, so she's going to win all winners. If she's on the cast, she's winning.
Right.
And I think that enough people on this cast have that perception of her where it might negate any kind of advantage she comes in with. However, I'm obviously rooting hard for her. I think that she is still a heavy favorite, even despite that. Forward to seeing if she can prove herself to her haters.
Yeah, and you know, I gotta have the first season where I'm openly pro Team Michele. You know, I got to see Aubrey come back 2 times and it didn't work out either time very well. So let's see Michele prove why she won now.
Right.
Ben, here is potentially a woman who is as threatening as Sandra, Poverty, Boston Rob, any of them. She played, I think, the single most dominant game a first-time player ever played.
By far.
By far. Kim Spradlin, the winner of Survivor One World.
Yeah, I mean, what can you potentially say about Kim that hasn't already been said a million times? Like, she's brought up as like one of the all-time best one-time players. She's like, you know, heavily talked about as like a top X player of the game in general. Even though she only played one time, and on a season that most people tend to forget or try to forget existed.
I feel like, but they won't let us because they keep bringing One World players back.
Yeah, but they're mostly like, you know, like was Monica Culpepper really on One World? I don't think you can convince me that's
Oh my god, I
case.
forgot that she was on One World. You're right. I was thinking of Colton and Kat. There are 3 One World players on that season.
And Troyzan.
And then Troyzan, yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking about Blood versus Water.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, Kim just like played that season front to back, no mistakes, basically. You know, one of the most dominant winners that the show has ever seen. And because of that, as you said, that she is going to come in probably with an enormous target on her back. But One World was like 7-8 years ago, so maybe people have forgotten.
I mean, it's not impossible because a lot of people on these seasons are very recent winners.
Yeah.
You know, certainly, you know, more recent than her, certainly more front of mind than her. So yeah, it should be interesting. Coming up next is Denise Stapley. One of the few people who I actually picked to win and did win. She survived every single tribal council of Survivor Philippines. She won the jury vote. She was on the worst tribe in Survivor history. She's had to watch her partner in crime, Malcolm, come on a ton of other seasons without being asked back. But we finally have Denise back. Ben, what are your thoughts?
I'm so excited for Denise. Yeah. I think that she's very she's somebody on the season who is not being talked about as much as like a huge name, and I think that's great for her. I think that she's possibly one of the more underrated social winners that the game has seen. She's incredibly good at forming close bonds with people. She's a therapist. I mean, like people.
It's like the most unfair. That's like the most unfair profession to come into a game like this with.
Like her and like she has all of the skills to just like get close to somebody, make them trust her, like unceasingly, and then turn on them without people even getting mad at her.
Right.
Like she turned on so many people in Philippines, but nobody remembers that. Like, people remember the other people in the final 3 with her, Lisa Welchel and another guy.
Name redacted.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, like, there were a number of times in Philippines where she was very much on the ropes because her tribe kept on losing, but she was never really in trouble. She came in as a solo person coming into a tribe, Calabao, who had been together from the start of the game as a unit of 6, and she integrated herself into a majority basically immediately. That's insane. Like, that's not something you do on Survivor.
No, I mean, she certainly had a few things going for her. Penner, returning player, target. And then Dina, she got really sick and had to quit.
Yeah.
And then with her being out, and she was a pretty, like, tough, hardworking girl, Denise was able to kind of, like, take her place in that alliance. But, I mean, she went to every tribal council, man. She wasn't safe till the first round of the merge. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, and I think that even because of that, too, she'll be underrated as a challenge performer. I think that she's an extremely strong challenge performer. She was on a season with Malcolm, who was also very strong, and because of the fact that she lost so many tribal challenges, as long as it doesn't, make people think that she's some kind of like curse on
Jinx,
them.
Yeah.
Then I think
the tribe lost every challenge.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be like Stephanie on Guatemala, right?
Yeah. James intensifies the background. I'm gonna get rid of Denise, y'all. Oh man.
Green line.
Oh man, but yeah, Denise, super happy to see her. She has a great shot at winning.
She's a phenomenal shot. I think that people are not seeing her coming at all.
Right. So good transition. I'm talking about, Guatemala.
Guatemala, yeah.
We actually have a returning player
from Guatemala. Have you heard of this season, Brian?
I'm watching it right now, actually.
Oh my god!
To refresh myself.
They had a survivor in Guatemala. You're telling me?
Yeah, it's awesome too.
Yeah, I would never have known from the way that this show,
the way they treated it.
Yeah,
it's the redheaded stepchild of Survivor seasons.
Yep,
it's ridiculous. It's so good.
Yeah, and we finally,
yeah,
after 15 years, finally get a returning player from this goddamn season.
Technically.
Oh, we're not. No,
technically, Ben.
No. An original, a real player from Guatemala.
Right. Yeah.
Talking about winners who immediately upon their win, people were like, "This person is winning." Survivor All Winners.
In 20 years,
yeah,
when we finally do Survivor All Winners, Danni Boatwright is winning it. Yeah, I mean, she's been a popular choice for people to have back for years straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wanted her back. She played an amazing game in her first season, and it finally happened, Ben.
Yeah.
And she has been one of the players who hasn't said, I'm done with Survivor, but she was one of the people who's like, I'm not playing unless there's an all-winner season.
Yeah, that's there was talk of her potentially. I don't know how true that necessarily was, or how likely it was that she would ever have been on that cast. I know that there was times in the past where she had said that she would never play again except for an all winners, and here we are.
So that was Game Changers. Sorry, you cut out a little bit. There was talks of her playing Game Changers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're finally did it. Can you believe this, man? The people that got on this season.
It's so great.
Yeah. So yeah, but maybe like you said, part of that second meta. For years, people have been saying that she's dangerous and could win all winners, and now people are like, we need to get rid of her.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I mean, she is very similar to Denise talked about, where she had no business ingratiating herself into the majority alliance,
right?
And she did basically just like with complete ease, just tore apart the majority alliance and injected herself in there, where she had no business even being close to the end.
Yeah, Guatemala had a pretty bad tribe swap twist, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Which left her in a really terrible position, especially after Judd flipped because he doesn't understand how majority in numbers works.
How dare you? How dare you insinuate that Judd is not a brilliant Survivor player?
I just, not to get too deep, but there's a point where it's 4-4, and...
Margaret deserved it, Brian.
Oh, my God.
ADP.
And, Durham Warrior Survival legend, Brooke, was the person who got taken out on that, because Stephanie and Jamie convinced Judd that, we'll take Brooke out, and then we'll just vote Lydia out. Mm-hmm. And Margaret was like, yeah, they're not going to do that. And Judd was like, what? No, they will.
Margaret, you're wrong. All right? You really think you're more right than me? Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, anyways, that didn't deter Danny. She was able to rebound and integrate herself, and it was great. And now she's back.
Yep.
So, Ben, the next player on the list, other than Ethan, is the last person, which is kind of ironic considering they're the last two people confirmed for the season. I never thought Amber would be back on Survivor.
In a million years, especially on a season with her fucking husband.
Yeah.
In a million years, I would never have expected Amber Mariano back on Survivor. I don't know who's watching their kids, but
who knows? But I honestly thought, she was on the biggest season of all time in Australia, and then she won All Stars, and I thought that was it. She's gonna ride off into the sunset. She got the guy. She got the $1 million. What more can you ask for? But no, she's back. Ben, what are your thoughts here?
I'm honestly just flabbergasted that this is reality. Because at a certain point, after Rob won Redemption Island, both of the Marianos were like, we're done with Survivor, we're stepping back, we're focusing on our family, this is, we're over the show. And now, Rob's going to be on 2 back-to-back seasons, and then both Rob and Amber are going to be on this crazy all-winner season together.
Listen, Ben, that was 8 years ago, whatever.
9, almost.
9. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
People changed their minds.
Yeah, their kids are all, old enough to function as individual units. They're not babies anymore.
Yeah.
I think their youngest is 6 or 7 or something. So, yeah.
Now's the time, Ben.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, I want to hear your opinion. Is it a good idea for them both to be back from their perspective?
Well, it'll be great for the one who doesn't get voted off in the pre-merge.
Yeah, but we've seen Blood versus Water seasons with dominant players, and that was a Blood versus Water season.
Yeah. No, I mean they're both obviously great players. They're both
phenomenal players. Yeah.
They ran
All-Stars together.
That helps that they're both talented players, but no one's gonna let both of them get far. So
these people aren't morons.
They're winners.
This isn't Caleb Reynolds again coming into Survivor Game Changers saying that Sandra is the biggest loser on the cast. All right, these people have brains in their heads. All right, they know they can't let the Foster Rob and Amber both get anywhere close to anything together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would not be shocked. This is a nightmare scenario. I don't want to happen, but if she's on the losing tribe, that first tribal council, there's going to be a lot of people being like, we just need to vote Amber off.
Yeah.
She's...
forget Sandra, forget Tony, forget Natalie Anderson, forget Kim Spradlin, all right? You can't let somebody whose husband of 15 years or whatever is on the other tribe and is also a phenomenal survivor make it at all. It's just... Yeah, there's a huge possibility she's the first dude. A huge possibility.
Yeah, which would suck a lot. Even if Boston Rob's tribe loses the first challenge, I think he has a shot of making it far just because he's so good at camp life.
Yeah.
He's
so good at camp life, so good at challenges. Like, you know, there's probably gonna be twists and swaps and stuff, but like, you know, I think that it's much more likely for an early vote that Boston Rob was able to weasel his way through.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? Maybe she ends up on a tribe with someone like Sandra or Tyson. You know, someone who has been friends with Boston Rob. You know, in the past, in real life, like someone who presumably is friends with her in real life. But oh God, man, if I was one of those players out there, I would want to vote her off first. As much as it would hurt my Survivor superfan heart, I would be like, yeah, we need to get her out. This is not going to end well for us if we don't.
Yeah, like if I was like Adam Klein or Nick, like I think Amber is like the number one threat, honestly.
Yeah.
Just because they're both in the season. It's unfair, obviously, but like
they also chose to be on this season.
It's so asinine that both of them decided to come back together. I mean, I know that they probably want to do this like an experience for the both of them, like one last like hurrah, like probably like a midlife crisis for the both of them, you know.
Hey man,
I don't know.
Hey man, maybe it turns into All Stars 2. Who knows?
But okay. You know, let's be real here.
It's not going to.
Coming into All Stars 2, Amber and Boston Rob were total losers. Like possibly the 17th and 18th biggest nobodies on the cast coming in. So like
on the nobody tribe.
Yeah, like
on the tribe that if it wasn't there, people wouldn't have missed it that much.
Yeah, I mean. Arguably, Boston Rob is the biggest target in the season. Like he's, like we said, the face of the franchise. Everybody is going to want to be the one to have like Boston Rob's head on their wall at the end. Like, and being attached to that, and like also not having the challenge strength, the camp life abilities, as you mentioned, that Boston Rob does have, is just like the biggest liability you could ever imagine having.
Yeah.
If Amber wins, she's a top tier player.
Yeah,
it would have to be
second
phenomenal.
Best player to Sandra. Oh man, so Ben, that's the all winners. Only took an hour and 15 minutes. For us, it can be pretty long winded, especially when it comes to Survivor. I think we flew through that. Who's your biggest snub in terms of person not invited back?
Oh boy. Biggest snub.
Or just person you're most shocked is not on this cast.
I mean, I think that I'm most shocked that Tina isn't on the cast.
That would be my most shock too. I'm in disbelief, honestly.
Yeah, especially because the women pool was already small. She's come back a number of times, even recently. She's shown a willingness to basically play Survivor constantly at any point in like literally you could probably pick up the phone at any given minute in any given day and asking if she wants to play Survivor right now, and she'd say yes.
She's iconic. She was on the biggest season ever. She's the first female winner. I'm really surprised she's not on it. I'm sad. I was looking forward to she was one of those people who was like, yeah, she's gonna be on All Winners, obviously. Right. So I was looking forward to seeing Tina for one last ride, you know.
Any other big snubs, maybe personal snubs that you wouldn't have ever expected to come back, but are still disappointed that they're not here?
Obviously, like, I wanted Bob Crowley to come back.
Yeah. From a personal perspective.
Just from a personal perspective. Like, he's just a really, really awesome guy, and I know he wants to play Survivor again.
Yeah. And he's one of those people who has a lot to prove. I mean, this kind of has that Michele Fitzgerald storyline where a lot of people like disrespect his win. Kind of like similar to like Natalie White as well, but Natalie White's kind of fallen off the face of the earth, whereas Bob is totally willing to play Survivor.
He's like openly campaigning to be back on. Put him back on Survivor, Jeff.
Oh yeah, and some other big ones for me would be Earl and Todd, both. I know Earl has some personal stuff going on. He just had a premature baby get born. He has like a charity thing coming up that he didn't really want to have to skip, from what I understand. And then Todd obviously has been kind of on and off with some of his health issues recently. So it's not surprising, but it is disappointing because I know Todd especially and Earl as well are both players that a lot of people have talked about as these like big name winners that kind of fell into this era where winners weren't really being asked back.
Yeah, that's super true. Like, in their spot where there should have been an All-Star season, they did fans versus favorites instead.
Yep.
Probably both would have been shoo-ins for All-Stars had that been the case. I would have liked to see Natalie White. I don't think she'd ever do it. I know Vesepia wants to do it, but I don't think they'd ever ask her again for... I don't know why. Like,
I don't know why either. I mean, like, I think that Probst hates Marquesas, and I don't think that Probst finds Vesepia compelling TV, which is completely ridiculous.
Yeah, super wrong.
But, incredibly compelling TV.
Yeah, you can be wrong all you want, Jeff, I guess.
And she is the first like winner of color that this show has had, and I think that the first person of color that has ever won an American reality show. So
yeah, obviously it's dumb. It doesn't work like this, but it's always like disappointing when you hear like production doesn't like someone who won.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, oh, you should be trying to get these people back. You know, if they want to be a part of it, you should be trying to get them back on.
Yeah, no, it is it's disappointing that Vesepia doesn't get the respect that she deserves from the show or from production.
Yeah,
but yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I came in, I didn't have expectations that Vesepia was going to be on this season, or people like Chris Doherty or anything like that.
Little surprised that Hatch isn't on, but there is that incident in Survivor All-Stars that I think probably weighed pretty heavily into the decision to not invite him back.
Yeah, and then obviously
completely fair.
And so I don't know if I obviously with the Les Moonves stuff that's happened, they probably want to take a wide berth from that.
Wasn't gonna happen.
So like that's at least understandable from that perspective. Whereas Tina, to a lesser extent, is not really is very strange. No, I guess maybe the show just was super hyped on this Mariano storyline. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Another player, and I don't think it's Survivor's choice, but I've heard Tom has been having health issues.
Yeah.
He would have been an amazing player to come back in All Winners. We kind of get shortchanged with him in Heroes versus Villains. I feel like he's one of the best winners ever, like one of the more dominant one-time players, like in his first time, and then he came back and didn't play as well. I wish we could have him. In a perfect world, we'd have like peak Tom back on, on the show. Fabio, just for fun, another one of those people you said, oh, he's like a odds-on favorite to win All Winners.
Yep. If
he's gonna play again. I don't know where he stands with production. I don't know if he didn't want to do it. I don't know if they just didn't ask him to. Cochran would not going to come back. He's too busy writing Star Trek. Also, there's no reason for Cochran to come back.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also no reason for a couple of the players in the season to come back in theory, right? But I mean, Cochran has better things going on.
Yeah. And Chris, not surprised. The most recent Chris.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly, didn't ask him back. Chris seems like a really nice guy. I can't imagine production was psyched he won in the way he won.
It seems surprisingly like Jeff actually didn't like the way that this twist played out.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It's a bad twist.
Yeah.
It's a really, really terrible twist.
So yeah, not surprising at all. If there were, like if Rick Devins, he probably would have been on the season, I would assume. But yeah, I mean, not a shock. I think that, talking about players like Avio or even like Mike to an extent, like there are so many recent male winners. Like the last female winner we've had has been Sarah Lacina.
That's messed up.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not surprising that the most egregious snubs have kind of been males, other than Tina, because there's the most solid male picks to choose from.
Yeah, is
So,
there anything else you want to touch on before we call this one an episode?
just in case, there's a lot of, it's an all-star season. There's a lot of big names. There's a possibility that spoilers could be legitimately everywhere immediately.
Yeah.
At this point, do you want to lock in a winner pick on this podcast?
Yeah, I think there's this is the only time you can legitimately claim a winner.
Yeah, so you without being like, oh, you were just spoiled, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Huh. I'm going to go with Natalie Anderson because I just really love her game. So, and if she doesn't win, I can be okay with that. I won't be disappointed because it's someone that I'm actually personally rooting for. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, for sure, yeah.
How about yourself?
I have gone back and forth with maybe 4 or 5 different people. I think the person I'm going to lock in, though, is Denise Stapley.
That would have been my other choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really great choice. Denise is awesome.
Yeah, Denise is really underrated player. I think that she has one of the lowest profiles coming in, and she doesn't have a high profile for having a low profile like players like Danni and Michele do.
Right.
I think it's the perfect, a lot of survivors comes down to fitting into this Goldilocks slot of not being too threatening, but not being so unthreatening that people don't respect you or people vote you out for being a loser in challenges.
Right.
So I think that Denise rides that Goldilocks zone the best out of anyone in this cast, and that's gonna be my winner pick.
All right, let's lock it in. I think it's a great pick. Ben, I wish this season was starting tomorrow.
Yeah, no, you're telling me.
I can't wait.
We have to wait another 9 months or something before we watch this season.
Poor people on 39.
Yeah.
Getting completely overshadowed on their own season by having Rob and Sandra on their season, and having to be the prequel to All Winners, which honestly probably not as bad as the season 41 people are going to feel. Because I feel the season after All Stars kind of get forgotten a little bit.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, it's not a good, you don't want to be on either side of the huge all-star events. You're very apt to get forgotten, and then people call the season underrated 5 years later.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Exactly. It was really good. Vanuatu. What a great season.
Nicaragua really, unfairly maligned.
Oh, man. And then... No, Heroes vs. Heroes Hustlers has the correct reputation.
Well, but I would say that Game Changers wasn't particularly
beloved season.
Also. Yeah, you could say that Korong kind of is in that slot a little bit coming after Cambodia, and especially being delayed because of Cambodia.
What a weird situation.
Yeah, so I think that that's another season that's not talked about as much as it should be as a top recent season. But yeah, very excited. Obviously, can't wait for this. This past season was disappointing. I would say is a relatively fair adjective to use.
Yeah, it almost felt like Survivor.
Yeah, it was almost there.
There were 2 or 3 episodes there where I was like, yeah, this is Survivor.
Yeah.
And the rest where I was like, this is not Survivor anymore.
Yep.
Awful. Yeah. What are you going to do? Ben, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at Ben Sharon. I'll be live tweeting, not only reality TV, but esports and all kinds of stuff.
We got Big Brother coming up. We're gonna be we're gonna be tweeting up a storm as usual.
Oh, for sure.
About all the dumb decisions people make and shenanigans they get into. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, can't wait for Fessy versus Rockstar in BB21.
Please no. Don't. All right, guys. Thank you so much for checking this kind of standalone, fun Survivor All Winners video out. And remember, this is all just rumors. Who even knows if this season's real? We don't know. It hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah, it's not like all of these people suddenly became immediately silent on social media all at once.
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
It'd be really strange. Yeah, no, definitely did not happen.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you follow the channel on Twitter at WG Everything, on Instagram at WickedGoodEverything, of course, check out our blog at www.wickedgoodeverything. And, of course, we have our YouTube channel where you're watching this and our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/wickedgoodeverything. I also do another podcast. You can, if you somehow have not grown tired of hearing me talk about random stuff, Brian and Dylan Take on the World. Check it out. Ben, I'm sure will be a guest on it sooner than later. And by the time this comes out, either the Game of Thrones podcast is about to come out or it has already come out. And talking to Dylan about it before, oh boy, he has some opinions. So you're not going to want to miss that. Or if you missed it and you are just watching this, go check that out.
Talking about disappointing seasons of television, right?
Oof. All right. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment of who you think is going to win. Probably in about a month, we're not going to let you comment on this video because I'm not going to let it turn into a spoiler place. But until then, thanks for watching.